The name of today's YouTube video is What Do You Want? And the reason I was prompted to make this is because the last 3 days in Adelaide into the stretch workshop that we've ever run here just was extraordinary, frankly. We had a group of people, in fact there wasn't a single person on the workshop who didn't have massive personal and physical changes during that period. And what's fascinating to me is that we don't do anything special in order to bring these things about. You know, I'm no magician or hypnotist or anything like that. But I watched people who were absolutely convinced that they couldn't do this particular movement or that particular movement or this exercise or get into this particular position, and who literally 30 seconds, a minute or 2 minutes after saying this and being absolutely certain it was accurate, nonetheless were in the position. And honestly, one guy, the guy that got his chest on the floor in the legs apart pose, which of course is something we all want to do, it was such a massive shock to his neural system, he literally lay down on the floor for the next 15 minutes and he was as white as the refrigerator next to me here in the kitchen. It was an extraordinary thing to see. And he wrote again on Facebook, yesterday I think it was, that new range of movement had persisted, even though it's not something that I would have recommended that he do 2 or 3 days after his first experience of putting his chest on the ground. Nonetheless, when he went to do it yesterday, all of that flexibility had remained and he wasn't even particularly sore. Now that could just be a personal thing, because with me, for example, I get delayed onset muscle soreness after every workout, and I always has. As an athlete and as a couch potato, it seemed to make no difference at all. Whereas some people never get that. Someone else wanted to do an exercise that they were convinced that they couldn't do, and he was literally saying, I can't do this, as he was doing it. And it's just a fantastic demonstration of how one's own mind, firstly, projects the internal space out onto the reality that everyone else is seeing. And secondly, the extent to which your own idea of your limits, your own idea of what you can and can't do, literally, powerfully constrain what you can actually do. Now, I'm not saying for a moment that if you change your mind or adopt a different mental approach, that of course everything else will be different as a result of that. It's more subtle than that. And it's not just a matter either of saying, although this is accurate at another level, that the mind controls everything. That is also true. Let me give you an example. If you take someone with average flexibility and you anaesthetize them, this is what surgeon friends have told me a number of times, that person's body can be put into any position the skeleton is capable of. In fact, in nursing manuals they have this class of accidents called spontaneous dislocation, believe it or not, which is where a nurse just slightly, roughly moves the rib cage of someone who's lying on the operating table, and the ribs can dislocate from the sternocostal margin or where they attach to the vertebra at the back. There is no muscle tension in the body when the brain is disconnected from it. Now, we can't just tell ourselves to be flexible. That just doesn't work. I mean, if that worked, I would have been super flexible, 30 years ago. But what we can do is we can use the muscles, the ligaments, the tendons, the bones, and the skin of the body to make this indirect communication with that part of the brain that actually does constrain our flexibility, and also, not coincidentally, it's where the repository for patterns of movement are stored as well. And we can use those tissues of the body to indirectly change this map of what the body believes it can and can't do. And it is immensely powerful, as we saw in this workshop. If you want to see some of the reactions and some of the photographs, please just visit the Facebook page, the Kit Lachlan or the Stretch Therapy main page, and just see the lovely photographs and the wonderful comments. And they're still continuing today, almost a week after the event. The idea of the Into the Stretch workshops is they are a vehicle, a venue, an experience for literally anyone. It doesn't matter whether you're a young person, a teenager, or whether you're grandma or grandpa, and it definitely doesn't matter. In fact, it's even better if you've never done any stretching work before. Let us introduce you to how you can make this deep, brilliant, wonderful, awesome connection with your own body, and see how your experience of being alive in this body completely changes as a result. In fact, one of the participants on the course said, "You guys deal in awesomeness." And look, that could well be the motto for stretch therapy going forward. We deal in awesomeness. And look, each of us, we have a limited time on the planet in this particular body anyway. And even if the Hindus and the Buddhists are right, and this is just one turn on the wheel, I hope that's true, nonetheless, this is the one that we're present for, and this is the one that counts. And this is the one that you're suffering in, this is the one that you're enjoying in, this is the one where you're experiencing delight in. So do yourself a favour and come along to one of these workshops and just experience what opening up your body and your heart and your mind actually looks and feels like. I guarantee you will love it. I feel blessed, honestly, being able to teach this kind of work, and all of the other teachers feel exactly the same way. So please join us on a workshop soon. You won't regret it.